Hey everybody, my name is Tara, and today it's November 30th. Another Nanowrimo has come and gone, and with it, thousands and thousands of words, a few hours of sleep, and hopefully a lot of fun. Whether or not you reached your goals this November, there's so much to be gained from the experience of trying. In the last 10 years of participating in Nanowrimo in some form or other, I have gained so much. So today I'd like to share with you the 5 best lessons that I've learned from Nanowrimo. Every year I have done Nanowrimo, I've come out of the experience not only with words, but with wisdom, with a deeper understanding of my own writing process and the art of writing itself. And while every lesson I've learned from Nanowrimo is priceless, there are a few things in particular I wish I'd known before I started writing my very first novel. Lesson number 1, you have to devote yourself to your novel. Writing a novel is a huge undertaking, and doing it in a month is even huger. It's not something that you can just spend a few minutes a day on, or shrug off when you find something better to do. Writing a novel takes time and commitment and responsibility and self-discipline. You need to make your novel a priority or else you'll never finish writing it. And sometimes that means making sacrifices. The first couple of years I did Nanowrimo, I tried to juggle way too much all at once, and it caused me a lot of stress and exhaustion. But once I figured out that that was a problem, I started managing my time in November a lot more appropriately. I'd get up at least an hour early every morning so I could get some writing done before starting my day, and I didn't make any social plans just in case I needed that night to catch up on my word count. And pretty much every other hobby I have went on the back burner for the entirety of November. And most importantly, on those days when I was so tired and so frustrated and I just wanted one day off, or when I started doubting myself and my story so much that I wanted to give up, I didn't take that day off. I didn't give up. I pushed myself to keep writing, because you have to keep writing if you want to finish that book. If you truly want to write a novel, you have to work for it. You have to make a commitment to it, and you have to do whatever it takes to keep that commitment. By the end of November, you'll be glad that you did. Lesson number 2, writing is easier with an outline, but outlines aren't set in stone. Outlines are not for everybody, but I believe that everybody can benefit from giving at least some forethought to their novels. I learned this the hard way, by not giving enough to mine. I went into my first Nanowrimo with a vague premise and a few ideas, but no story arc, no plot points, not even a culprit for my murder mystery. It was like running a maze in the dark. I wandered around aimlessly, I took a lot of wrong turns, and I never found my way out. I spent so much time wondering what to do next, and I wrote so many words that accomplished very little in an attempt to keep that story going when I didn't know where it was going. Sure, I hit 50,000 words, but they didn't resemble anything close to an actual novel. I've come around to outlines in the years since, and it's made a world of difference. Outlines provide me a destination for my journey. They give me a map to get me through that maze. They force me to work out major problems in my plot before I'm halfway through writing it. They show me what needs to happen in the beginning to set up the end. They turn a jumble of ideas into a cohesive story. But I've also learned that I'm not chained to my outlines, and I don't want to be. An outline should give you guidance but not stifle your creativity. Sometimes your story takes you in a direction that you hadn't even imagined when you were outlining, and sometimes that direction's even better than the one you had planned. And sometimes your first draft ends up full of plot holes, or it has no real structure, or you need more character development or world building. And sometimes to fix those problems, you need to add entirely new chapters, or cut others out, or just move stuff around until it all makes sense. I have done this extensively with my work in progress. If you looked at the outline I had for my first draft compared to the outline I have now halfway through the second draft, you wouldn't even think it was the same novel. But that's how stories evolve. You can never know every detail of your story before you start writing it, because some can only be discovered through the act of writing them. So don't shy away from outlining because you think it's going to box you in or tie you down. And don't shy away from straying from your outline if it's just not working. It's good to know where you're going, but it's okay to take a road that's not on the map to get there. Lesson number 3, the higher you aim, the higher you'll fly. To write 50,000 words in a month, you need to write at least 1,667 words every day of that month. Some people can hammer that out in under an hour, but I am not one of those people. It can take me all day to hit that goal, and sometimes I still fall short. But in 2014, I knew 50,000 words wouldn't be enough to tell my story, so I raised my goal that month to 60,000 words. Because even though I always struggled to get the 1,667 every day, somehow I thought I could pull off 2,000 a day. And you know what? I actually did. My momentum did wane towards the end of the month, and I didn't hit the 60,000 word goal I'd set for myself, But I did hit 50,000 words halfway through November 27th, which is a huge accomplishment for someone who always raced to the finish line in the final hours of the final day of Nanowrimo. This taught me that if you aim low, you'll have no reason to fly high. If you only aim for that 1,667 words a day, you'll only push yourself hard enough to get there. But if you set the bar higher, you'll push yourself harder. So if you too have struggled to get those words down, aim for more, not less. You might be surprised by what you can do when you try. Lesson number 4, the more you write, the better you'll write. You wouldn't be able to play Beethoven's Fifth if you've never touched a piano before in your life, but with enough training and practice, you might. And the same is true for writing. If you've never written a single word of fiction in your life, you're not going to write a masterpiece in a month. But you never will if you never start writing. The more you write, the more you'll learn. And there's no better classroom than Nanowrimo. A month of furious, exuberant, passionate writing, of exploring your story and your characters and your world, of letting your ideas take you where they will. That's going to teach you more about writing than any how-to book ever could. When I compare what I'm writing now to what I wrote for my first Nanowrimo, the improvement just blows my mind. Not only has the quality of my work grown by leaps and bounds, but I have learned how to outline, and how plot structure works, and how to show rather than tell, and I no longer have to consciously work foreshadowing and theme and subplot into my novels, because after enough practice, it's become a reflex. And I wouldn't have learned any of these things if I hadn't written my way to them. I used to think that I should wait until I was better at writing to write a novel, but now I know the only way to get better at writing is to write. And lesson number 5, Nanowrimo is only the beginning. Even though I hit 50,000 words almost every time I've done Nanowrimo, I never felt like I truly won, because I never actually finished my story. At the end of every November, I had a mess of a first draft full of plot holes and underdeveloped characters, and oh yeah, entirely missing an ending. Of course, I always meant to continue them, but as intimidating as starting a first draft can be, the prospect of finishing it when you know it's a train wreck is 100 times worse, and revising that train wreck, 1,000 times worse. So all of my unfinished drafts sat there collecting dust while I began anew every November with the hopes of finally succeeding. But 2014 was different. I knew the story I wanted to tell couldn't be told in only 50,000 words, so I went into that Nanowrimo knowing I probably wasn't going to finish it, and I didn't feel like I'd failed when I didn't, and that made it a lot easier to keep working on it after Nanowrimo. But just like all my other first drafts, this one was also full of plot holes and underdeveloped characters and missing an ending that I hadn't even decided on yet, so I decided to fix those problems before moving on. I gave my outline a total overhaul. I wrote detailed character profiles, I mapped out all my subplots, I did a whole bunch of other behind-the-scenes stuff before I started revising the actual writing. Today I look back at Nanowrimo 2014 as one big brainstorming session. I played around with my plot, I got to know my characters, I roughed out a setting, and I discovered the seeds of backstories and twists and subplots that hadn't existed at the start of that month. And I got 1,000 other ideas that I never would have had if I hadn't written those first 50,000 words. And now, 4 years later, I am still building on the foundation that I started way back then. I'm still getting new ideas and figuring out new ways to make my story stronger every day. My experience with this novel taught me that if you expect perfection right out of the gate, you're gonna be disappointed. You just can't go from blank page to bestseller in a month. You might not even go from blank page to finished draft in a month. But don't let that discourage you. Whether what you write for Nanowrimo is just training and practice, or a very long brainstorming session, or the bare bones of a first draft, it's more than what you started with, and it's absolutely worth something. So if you're ending this month with a train wreck, don't write it off as a failure. You can and should take your novel beyond November, because Nanowrimo is only the beginning. So there you have it, the 5 best lessons that I have learned from Nanowrimo. I hope they'll be helpful to you, but more than that, I hope that your experience with Nanowrimo this month has helped you grow as a writer and has left you with a few new pearls of wisdom of your own. And if you'd like to share any of those pearls, leave me a comment down below, because I'm always looking to learn more about writing. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a big like and share it with your writer friends. And congratulations on getting through Nanowrimo with everything that you have gained from it. Until next time, everybody, happy writing. Bye-bye.